Hi, my name is Donna Dyson. I am the owner of Dysonna City Art Gallery. We're located 5373 Wilshire Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 90036. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram. We also have a website, DysonnaCityArtGallery.com. We're starting a new project, and it's my favorite. I love it. I used to have a magazine called Dysonna the Magazine. So this is basically more of an audio, more live feature of the magazine, and it is called Dysonna ArTalk. We are so excited to have our first artist, Sage Garland. He is our resident artist as well in the Dysonna City Art Gallery. We're going to actually interview him and talk about his journey as an artist, and I know you're going to love it. Not think, I know you're going to love it. Hello, Sage.
Hi, Donna. How are you?
Good, I'm great. Glad that you're here in the gallery, Dysonna City Art Gallery. Our resident artist here, my first one, my first love. Just real excited, wanted to talk to you about your journey through being an artist in your life. So let's start off with your art, or you could basically tell me what you're doing right now.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me as your first guest.
Sure.
Thank you so much for having me as your first artist in residence. It's always a thrill, especially with the history that you and I share. You were the first person to publish my work in the Dysonna magazine. What was that, 2001, 2002, somewhere around there?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So we have a very long and loving relationship.
Yeah, and we're our first.
Yeah, we share a lot of firsts together,
that's
actually.
cool, yeah.
There's a lot going on right now. We have the gallery here. And this is a show of my abstracts. It's another first time where I'm able to show exclusively all abstract. We also have a show right now at the Gay and Lesbian Center in Hollywood, a portion of my Queens and Kings photo series called Royalty. I just found out that we'll be sending a few of those pieces to the Philadelphia African American Museum.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. In October, so we'll be flying out there for that. My production company, Reindeer Productions, just shot our first music video for another artist named Glass the Tramp, who's incredible. We shot the third installment of the anthology from my spoken word CD called Naked Under My Clothes, and that's a short film. The series of right now we have 3. I am actually making my directorial debut on the 27th of July, where I have the profound honor to direct some incredible actors in a brilliant script. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things going on, and I'm really grateful and excited to be engaged in my life right now because it's fun.
I would love to be you right now. Just wanted to also find out about your art. How did you get started?
As you know, I come from a history of homelessness and addiction. And in my early 20s, I was living in Washington, D.C., and I've always been creative. I've always drawn or doodled, or, you know, in high school I worked with pastels a lot, but I never painted. So when I was living in D.C., one of my mentors, a friend of mine, who's seen some of my sketches, took me to an art supply store. He bought me $100 worth of art supplies, canvases, paints, brushes, watercolors. I remember that day vividly. It was cold, it was wintertime, and I went to the living room on the couch which I slept and turned on MTV. I was listening to the music videos while I was painting. And it was the first time ever that I had applied paint to canvas. I called him about 30 minutes later and I was finished with my first piece. He came over, he looked at it, he loved it. It was called Blue Solitude.
Blue Solitude.
You know, I painted at that time over 400 pieces, and a lot of them I gave away. A couple of them I sold for like $10 here, $15 here. Then I stopped painting completely for about 20 years or so. About just over 2 years ago, I had gotten sober for 11 years and had a really gnarly relapse, and there was a point in that relapse where I was in so much pain that I didn't have any drugs, I didn't have any money or access. And I was lying on the floor in my apartment. There were some old dried up acrylics that I put some water in and shook it up and just started painting again. And it was really dark, ugly. It was really just a guttural experience. And then I got sober again and moved into a sober living briefly, where I just started to paint again. And it was just, you know, painting for me, because I'm not taught. I don't know. I haven't been schooled in terms of technique or how to paint. So it's all very expressive to me. It's all very. Painting is my spiritual conversation. It's one of the ways which I pray. So I always do also like things that frighten me. Abstracts frighten me because I thought, you know, they were kind of weird and difficult, and actually they are. I thought, you know, initially I thought that, you know, you just throw some paint on a canvas and voila, it's abstract. But to learn technique, to learn placement, to learn color, texture, those things, you know, they scared me. That scared me, and so I always attack the things that scare me the most. And you know, learning and continuously growing is very important to me. To see other artists, to see other works.
And who influenced you?
I've been influenced by a lot of people. Ansel Adams actually has a brilliant quote which I live by. It pertains to photography. He was a photographer, and he said that, you know, when you look at a photographer's photograph, it's not that moment that you see. It's a culmination of everything that person has experienced, that artist has experienced in their lives. So I'm influenced by everything and everyone, really, because it all transforms or transmits into my work, because it's a part of my spirit and part of my psyche. Artistically, I love Jean-Michel Basquiat. I love Vincent van Gogh. Vincent van Gogh is probably one of my favorite artists, not just because he was masterful at his work, but he was an artist who was not understood at his time. They called his work garbage, his contemporaries. I think Van Gogh, sold one painting, and that was to his brother. But he stuck with it.
You remind me much more of Basquiat or Picasso. You're free. You know, you have a little more excitement. You know, Van Gogh is beautiful and floral.
He's structured to an extent, but he still retains that freedom in his stroke. And to see that, to experience that, it does inspire me. And I do learn a lot. I learned a lot from the other artists who you hung at the gallery here. Antonio is brilliant. You know, so I get to learn from everyone, and I get to be influenced by everyone.
Okay, Sage, was just also want to know, how do you paint? When you're at home, do you paint with music? What type of music do you paint with?
How do I create? You know, that's really interesting. I do listen to music, and that varies from Nina Simone to Billie Holiday. I love FKA Twigs. She's a new artist out, she's incredible. Glass the Tramp, my friend Glass, he has a great CD that I like to listen to when I paint. So it's kind of all over. Thelonious Monk, Miles Davis goes in there, Seal goes in there. You know, so it just kind of allows me to center and connect with a certain feeling or expression. My process is really simple. I never go into a canvas knowing what I want to paint. I've learned that for me, that's tragic.
So you paint from a blank canvas and you just go for it?
I put the canvas on the easel, I smell the canvas because I love that smell of a fresh canvas. And I have the paint on the palette, I step back with the palette and I, you know, just to connect with the blank canvas, and then just go in. And I try to allow the expression and the experience to dictate what it wants to be, as opposed to me implementing my, you know, I'm going to paint a pretty butterfly and a rainbow and there's going to be, you know, snowflakes glistening. I can't do that.
Okay.
And what I found for me most effective is really just connecting to that experience, to that motion, and to release my voice through the canvas.
Do you feel that it's something that you encountered that evening, or that you looked at in a magazine, or a movie that you saw, and then all of a sudden you feel it and you just go for it?
It could be a culmination of all of that. You know, it could be, you know, when I started painting again 2 years ago, a lot of it was just frustration from work, and it was my way of releasing that frustration. It's evolved now into, you know, just if I hear a particular song that moves me, it's really just connecting with my emotional and spiritual space, and then releasing that onto the canvas.
How about the news right now, all the crime and everything that's going on?
Do you know what? Right now is a very tumultuous time with the shootings and the attacks and the election. Right now, I'm vocalizing those things through film.
Through film?
Yeah,
okay.
Through with Reindeer Productions, and you know, See Me, for instance, the short film we just shot from Naked Under My Clothes, speaks to the condition of where we are right now as a species.
Okay.
And you know, we're living in some tumultuous times. There are a lot of things, and for me, art is supposed to speak. Nina Simone says, you know, if you're an artist, you don't voice. If you're not talking about your current situation or the current situation, then you're doing yourself a disservice. I'm paraphrasing what she said, but you know, it's important for artists to actually address things that are going on. A lot of my work tends to be political, in some form or fashion. You know, I'm deeply influenced by the feminine. I paint a lot of women. So the whole idea of misogyny, the political ramifications of misogyny are interesting to me, and I often speak out against that. But yeah, we're living in a really interesting time right now.
So when you say when things are dark and you feel dark, does that show in your color? I mean, because on your color palette, in terms of your art, or do you like bright colors, or what colors are exciting?
Well, I like combinations of both the dark and the light, because I believe that, you know, there's a duality there, and we live in that duality. You know, I'm not constantly bright, but I'm not constantly dark, and I think there's a medium between the two. So if I'm feeling a certain way, it tends often to show in the canvas, in the work on the palette. But I try to be cognizant of not being completely absolute in the darkness or in the light. You know, I like to mix them, you know, to bring them together.
Okay. How was your first sale when someone saw your painting and they wanted to buy it?
It was weird. It was really weird. You know, again, when I started painting again 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I started posting my work on Facebook.
How did that feel?
It was
first
cool.
Click saying it's out there for everybody to see.
It was cool.
It wasn't scary. It wasn't like.
No, it wasn't really. That part of it wasn't. What I wasn't ready for was somebody responding to the work. Like, you know, I love this piece and I want to buy it. And a friend of mine named Tim Benton, who was, we grew up together, and he lives in Philadelphia now. He hit me up on Facebook and said, "Hey, I want to buy this piece." And I was like, "I'll send it to you. You can have it." I was like, "No, I want to buy it. How much?" And I never sold a painting really before. And it was a cool watercolor. This woman with the afro leaning over. And so it was, I said, okay, it's $250. He was like, it's mine. And I was like, really?
Okay.
So it was really fascinating. And then you know, learning over the course of these 2 years, we've had the shows in New York, we have shows here, the gallery openings here, some other spaces that I've worked with, and learning how to navigate through the business part of art. And I'm learning a lot. You know, I'm learning a lot about, you know, what your work is valued at, and you know, the people who are investing in your craft, and how to grow that investment for these people.
Are you mentored by anyone?
No.
No. It's just by
yeah,
God, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about failures and like if someone sees your painting and they say, God, what is that? Or they say, oh wow, I love it. What are your reactions? I gave you like 3 questions in one.
That is an amazing question. I really don't think of things as failures. I think of them as opportunities. I think of them as experiences, but I really don't place things in the terminology of failure or really success. I think both ideals are things which you create. People, like I said, Vincent Van Gogh was one of my favorite artists because he didn't care about what people thought about his work. He still continued to work. Even though he only sold 1 painting, he still was an artist, regardless as to what someone else said about his work. I mean, an artist's work is going to touch you, or it's not. It doesn't make that artist a failure or really a success. Then conversely, you can look at a lot of artists who are famous, who whose work isn't necessarily emotional or touches you, or, you know, it could be somebody with just, you know, a porcelain toilet bowl and for $2 million or $3 million. Oh my God, it's amazing, and they're successful.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I try to be is authentic to my experience while I'm creating, authentic to my spirit, authentic to the canvas. And I think that to me is the best success that I could have, whether the painting sells or not. You know, was I truthful here?
Right.
I mean, you know, you hope that your work affects somebody. You hope that somebody's touched by what you've created, or more accurately, what's been created through you. So, you know, the only way I could define failure is not trying. That's the only failure that I could, is when you don't try. That's the failure.
Yeah. So I have a couple questions. What do you feel about love?
Love is...
Or words, I should say.
Okay. Expansive. Love is omnipotent. Love is challenging. It's expression. It is expressive.
So are you in love?
No.
No?
I'm not in love, no. I love deeply, profoundly, but in love, it implies a certain intimacy with someone else, which I'm not there right now.
It seems like you have a lot going on. You think you got room for that?
I don't know if I do. It would take an extraordinary person to be able to
appreciate it.
Well, to handle it, you know, because there are moments where I don't have time to give to another person the way they may need to be given to right now. And I'm trying to build something that's very important to me.
How about passion?
Passion is the thing that compels you to do even when you don't feel like doing. It is that painting that needs to be painted at 3 o'clock in the morning after, you know, you've worked 20 hours at your job and then done this, and then you'll be tired and you finally take off your clothes and you lay down in the bed, and that painting, that passion says, ooh, wait. And you're up in your PJs and your boxers and with the paintbrush, and next thing you know it's 5 o'clock in the morning and you have to get up at 6.
Oh,
and,
God.
You know, you're covered in paint, and that's the passion. Passion is the thing that compels you to do even when you don't feel like doing.
Okay. Value.
Value. The easy answer is worth. But I think value has more to do with what I'm capable, a person's capacity to give,
Okay.
what one has to give. I think it has more to do with value than what one has to take.
Ocean.
Ocean, meditation, God, force, energy, expansive, big, full of life, and contradiction. You could, it's full of contradiction. Meditation.
Meditation. One more question. If you were your younger you, what would you tell you now?
If I were to meet my younger me now, what would I say? Don't be afraid, and you are worth your love. You're worth fighting for. I would tell my younger self, you're worth fighting for. You're more important than you think you are right now. You have more to give than what you believe you do right now.
Very cool. Sage, thank you so much. This is a great interview, and love your abstracts, your new collection.
Thank you.
And we hope you're going to be in the gallery for a little while longer. So I think everyone should come out and take a look at his art, because it's absolutely wonderful, and who knows what's going to happen next month. So thank you, Sage. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I love being an artist in residence here at the Dysonna City Art Gallery. I hope you all do come down, check out the work. There's some amazing pieces in here. The address is 5373 Wilshire Boulevard. That's Los Angeles, California, 90036.
Wasn't that amazing? Sage Garland. I hope you enjoyed it. We feature different artists every month, so you can see basically what we do on a monthly basis, all the different events that we do have. It's going to be basically about their journey, the artist in their journey. And you will be able to know more about what they do, how they feel, how they think, how they came up with these different ideas, painting, how they started from just a regular artist and how they moved on to teach, how they maybe published their art, how they show in galleries and so on. And I think you'll really like it. We're going to feature it on YouTube and a podcast on every Friday. So hopefully you'll tune in and enjoy what you see, because it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing to hear and to see. Thank you.